All right, now we're going to look at Ukraine and Russia explained. We're going to go into perspectives of different countries. First, we're going to look at Ukraine. What's going through their mind as they're being attacked by one of the strongest militaries in the world, one of the strongest countries in the world. And then Russia, what are they thinking as they attack Ukraine? What are their goals? What are they trying to do here? Why do they want Ukraine to be part of their country again? We're going to look at the United States. We're also going to look at the European Union, get their perspective as international countries who are trying to help Ukraine. So first, what are the Ukrainian people and what are their government thinking? What's going through their minds right now? Their perspectives that we see. So they feel threatened and unsafe, and they have for a long time with a loud and dangerous neighbor like Russia. It's very clear why they would feel like they could be taken over at any time. As the Russians have built more troops there in the past few months, it's just raised that threat level and that feeling of not being safe. But this isn't new. The Ukrainian military has been fighting off Russian supporters for a long time, for about 8 years now. Um, they have there are people in Ukraine who think that they should just give up and let Russia take over because Russia is more powerful than them. They don't want to fight a war. They think life under Russian rule would be better than trying to fight against it. The Ukrainian government, President Zelensky, and his government have encouraged those NATO countries, the US and Canada and many European countries, to sanction Russia. So that just means to make life harder for Russia, make things legally harder for Russia, strain their economy, really try to hit them where it hurts, um, to take them out of Ukraine, to encourage them to get out. Russia, for their part, led by Vladimir Putin, their president, Russia has denied plans to invade Ukraine. They said, no, we're not going to. No, we're not going to. We are just putting our troops there. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And then all of a sudden, on February 24th, they invade. Russia does not want any of the former Soviet members to be in NATO. They don't want any NATO countries on their border um, because they feel like that's just too close. They're unsafe at that point. They feel like the United States or European power could easily attack them. And they want the U.S. military out of their neighboring region. That's just kind of building off of what I said there earlier. A quote here from Vladimir Putin was, imagine Ukraine becomes a NATO member and launches those military operations to retake Crimea, which Russia took in 2014. Should we fight NATO then? Has anyone thought about that? Russia doesn't really want to fight NATO because it's so many countries that they would be definitely overpowered and may lose, and they definitely don't want to lose the war. The U.S., our perspective, Biden has promised support to not to send troops to Ukraine, but he says we will send weapons and we will train Ukrainian military the best we can. But we're going to support Ukraine's independence, and we say, yeah, they can join NATO. We do support that if they wish, and we view Russia's actions as a way to weaken NATO countries. We obviously don't want to seem weak, so we're going to do as much as we can. But Biden again has not promised not to send troops at this point. That could change depending on what happens too soon. And then in the European Union, France hopes to meet with Vladimir Putin, the Russian president. Leadership in France wants to try and handle this, sit down and see if they can talk it out. Germany has taken a bit of a steeper step. There's a pipeline between Germany and Russia so that Germany can get much of their gas that they need. Russia is the number 3 gas producer in the world, oil producer in the world. So Germany relies on them a lot, but they've cut off that pipeline. They said, we're not going to have that pipeline come through. We're not going to use your products anymore. So they're cutting them off. The U.S. and the European Union right now are working on a response, so they're united. But at this point, they've got a lot of different perspectives and they've got a lot of different ideas on what should happen. Um, from the U.S. sending military assistance, not necessarily troops, but assistance, to France just wanting to sit down and talk it out. Um, Europe wanting to take, or Germany wanting to take a little bit bolder steps. They got to find out what they should all do together at this point. That's the next step here as we go forward. All right, hope this helps with your notes, and thanks for paying attention.